My name is Claire Bennett, and I'm standing in the back of St. Augustine's Church watching my older sister Diane marry the man I was supposed to marry 3 years ago. She's wearing white lace with pearl buttons down the back. The dress fits her perfectly because our mother had it altered last month. Nobody asked me how I felt about that. The church is packed with 200 guests, and everyone keeps saying how beautiful the bride looks. My Aunt Helen just squeezed my shoulder and whispered that Diane deserves this happiness after everything she's been through. I smiled and nodded because that's what I always do. I'm in the second to last pew on the bride's side, tucked between Cousin Marissa's kids, who won't stop kicking the seat. If you've ever watched someone take everything from you while your family cheered them on, hit that like button right now. 3 years ago, I was engaged to Nathan Cross. We met at university during our sophomore year. He was studying architecture, and I was in graphic design. We dated for 4 years before he proposed on the beach where we had our first date. The ring was simple, a silver band with a small diamond, because we were saving money to buy a house. My family loved him. My mother called him the son she never had. My father took him fishing every Sunday. Diane, who was 28 at the time and going through her second divorce, told me I was lucky to find someone so stable. The wedding was planned for June 15th. I had my dress, a vintage lace gown I found at an estate sale and spent months restoring. The invitations were printed. The venue was booked. Then Diane's second divorce finalized in March. Her ex-husband Kyle had cheated on her with his dental assistant. Diane moved back home with our parents, crying every night, barely eating. Our mother was worried sick. Diane needs us right now, Mom said. She's fragile. So I helped. I brought her tea. I listened to her cry. I let her help with my wedding planning because Mom said it would distract her from her pain. Diane came to dress fittings. She gave opinions on flowers. She met Nathan for coffee to discuss the rehearsal dinner because she offered to help coordinate. I thought I was being a good sister. I thought I was helping her heal. I was actually handing her everything she needed to take my life. 2 months before my wedding, I came home early from work. I had a migraine and my boss sent me home at noon. I walked into my apartment and found Nathan and Diane on my couch. They weren't just sitting there. They jumped apart when I opened the door. Nathan's shirt was unbuttoned. Diane's lipstick was smeared. The look on their faces told me everything. This wasn't the first time. I stood there holding my work bag, and neither of them said anything for 10 full seconds. Then Nathan started with Claire, I can explain. I didn't let him. I took off my engagement ring, set it on the coffee table, and walked out. I stayed at my friend Becca's apartment for 3 days. I didn't answer calls. I didn't read texts. I just stared at her ceiling and tried to understand how this happened. When I finally went home, Nathan was gone. He'd taken his things from my apartment. But my mother was there, sitting at my kitchen table with Diane. Mom's face was red from crying. Diane looked exhausted, guilty, but also defiant. Claire, honey, Mom said. We need to talk about this like adults. I waited. Diane and Nathan have fallen in love, Mom continued. I know the timing is terrible, but you can't help who you love. I stared at my sister. She couldn't meet my eyes. You were on my couch, I said quietly. In my apartment. With my fiancé. It just happened, Diane whispered. We didn't mean for it to. My mother actually said, these things happen, Claire. You need to be mature about this. Diane's been through so much. She needs our support. I canceled the wedding myself. I called the venue, the caterer, the photographer. I sent messages to the guest list explaining that the wedding was off due to personal reasons. I didn't tell anyone the truth. My mother asked me not to. It would humiliate Diane, she said. After everything she's been through with Kyle, she doesn't need people judging her. So I protected my sister's reputation while mine fell apart. People assumed I got cold feet. Some thought Nathan and I had financial problems. My Aunt Paula told me at Christmas that year that I'd probably dodged a bullet, that I was too young to get married anyway. I was 26. Diane was 28. But somehow I was too young and she was ready. Nathan and Diane started dating publicly 3 months after my canceled wedding. They didn't hide it. They went to family dinners. They showed up at holiday gatherings holding hands. My father was the only one who seemed uncomfortable. He didn't say much, but he stopped inviting Nathan fishing. He'd look at me during family dinners with a sad, helpless expression. Once, he pulled me aside at Thanksgiving. Claire, I don't know what to say. I know this isn't right. Then say something, Dad. He shook his head. Your mother thinks Diane needs stability. She's worried about her mental health. So I'm supposed to just accept this? He didn't answer. That was the moment I realized my family had made their choice. Diane was the fragile one, the one who needed protection. I was the strong one, the one who could handle anything. So I had to handle my sister marrying my ex-fiancé. I had to smile and be supportive because anything else would make me the villain. I threw myself into work. I freelanced as a graphic designer, taking every project I could find. I worked 70-hour weeks. I moved to a smaller apartment across town to save money and to avoid running into Nathan. I stopped going to family dinners for a while. My mother called constantly. You're being selfish, she'd say. Your sister needs you. This is hard for her, too. Hard for her. She's dating my ex-fiancé. She's in love, Claire. You should be happy for her. I stopped answering Mom's calls. I focused on building my portfolio, on landing bigger clients. I was good at what I did. Within a year, I had enough steady work to quit my part-time retail job. Within 2 years, I had my own small design studio and 3 employees. Diane and Nathan got engaged 18 months after my canceled wedding. The family was thrilled. My mother cried happy tears. Aunt Helen threw them an engagement party at her house. I wasn't invited. Well, I was invited, but Mom called me the day before. Claire, honey, maybe it's better if you sit this one out. Diane's worried it might be awkward for you. Awkward for me. I laughed. It's okay, Mom. I wasn't planning to come anyway. Are you ever going to move past this? She asked. Move past my sister stealing my fiancé? It wasn't like that and you know it. They fell in love. You're being cruel. I hung up. I didn't talk to my mother for 3 months after that. She sent texts. She left voicemails. She even showed up at my studio once, but I had my assistant tell her I was in a meeting. My younger brother Austin was the one who finally got through to me. He was 23, fresh out of college, and the only family member who seemed to see how messed up this situation was. He showed up at my apartment on a Saturday morning with coffee and bagels. I know this is insane, he said. I know what they're doing to you isn't okay. Thank you. I started crying. Someone finally said it. But Claire, you're hurting yourself by staying away. You've built this amazing business. You're successful. Don't let them take that from you too. What do you mean? If you keep hiding, they win. Diane gets Nathan, she gets the family support, and she gets to pretend she didn't destroy your life. Show up. Be successful. Be happy. Make them see what they chose to ignore. So I went back to family dinners. I showed up at holidays. I was polite to Nathan and Diane. I asked about their wedding plans. I complimented Diane's engagement ring, which was bigger than the one Nathan gave me because apparently he'd gotten a promotion. I smiled and acted like everything was fine. And something strange happened. It actually got easier. Not because I forgave them, but because I realized Austin was right. My success was the best response. While Diane was planning her wedding, I landed a contract with a major retail company to redesign their entire brand identity. It was a 6-figure deal, the biggest of my career. I didn't tell my family right away. I wanted to enjoy it privately first. I wanted something that was just mine. The wedding invitation arrived 4 months ago. Diane and Nathan were getting married at St. Augustine's Church, the same venue where my wedding was supposed to happen. The reception was at Lakeside Manor, same place I'd booked. Even the date was close, June 22nd instead of my June 15th. My mother called the same day the invitation arrived. I know this might be difficult, she started. It's fine, Mom. I'll be there. Really? You're not upset? Why would I be upset? It's just a wedding. Claire, I'm proud of you. You've really matured. I hung up and stared at the invitation for a long time. Then I called Becca. They're using my entire wedding plan, I told her. Same church, same venue, same month. That's insane. I know. Are you going to say something? No. I'm going to go and I'm going to smile and I'm going to let them think they won. But here's what nobody knew. 3 months ago, I ran into Nathan's best friend, Oliver Hayes, at a coffee shop downtown. We'd been friendly when Nathan and I were together. Oliver was a lawyer, quiet and thoughtful, and he'd always been kind to me. He looked uncomfortable when he saw me. Claire, hey. Hi, Oliver. How are you? He hesitated. Can we talk? We sat down. Oliver looked miserable. I need to tell you something, and I don't know if I should, but I can't keep quiet anymore. What is it? Nathan cheated on Diane. My stomach dropped. When? 2 months ago. With a woman from his office. I found out because I was at a bar with some friends and I saw them together. I confronted Nathan the next day. What did he say? He begged me not to tell Diane. Said it was a one-time mistake. That he loved Diane and didn't want to ruin things before the wedding. Does Diane know? Oliver shook his head. I don't think so. And I don't know if I should tell her. We're not close. But you were, Claire. I thought you should know. Why are you telling me this? Because what Nathan did to you was wrong. What your family did was wrong. And now he's doing it again. Oliver leaned forward. I don't know what you want to do with this information, but I couldn't stay silent. Thank you, I said quietly. I left the coffee shop and sat in my car for 20 minutes. Nathan had cheated on Diane. The same way he cheated on me. And he was going to marry her anyway. I thought about calling Diane. I thought about sending her an anonymous message. But then I realized something. If I told her, she wouldn't believe me. My family wouldn't believe me. They'd say I was jealous, bitter, trying to ruin her happiness. So I waited. I went to dress fittings when Diane invited me. I smiled when she showed me pictures of flower arrangements. I listened to my mother talk about how perfect Nathan was for Diane, how he'd helped her heal from her divorce trauma. And I gathered information. I asked Oliver to keep me updated. He did. He told me Nathan was still seeing the woman from his office. Her name was Victoria Lang. She was an interior designer who worked on commercial projects with Nathan's architecture firm. They'd been involved for 4 months, not 2. Oliver had proof, photographs he'd taken, because he was considering telling Diane himself. Can I have copies? I asked him. Are you sure? I'm sure. He sent them to my email. Dozens of photos. Nathan and Victoria at restaurants. Holding hands in parking lots. Kissing outside her apartment building. All time-stamped, all recent. I created a file. I organized everything chronologically. I included Oliver's written statement about what he'd witnessed. I made copies, digital and physical. And I waited for the right moment. The bridal shower was 6 weeks before the wedding. My mother hosted it at her house. 50 women crowded into the living room, drinking champagne and eating tiny sandwiches. Diane opened gifts, blushing and laughing. She opened a set of expensive kitchen knives from Aunt Helen, lingerie from her college friends, a photo album from my mother with pictures of Diane and Nathan. I gave her a gift card to a home goods store. Practical, boring, forgettable. After the gifts, my mother stood up to make a toast. To my beautiful daughter Diane, she said. You've been through so much, but you never gave up on love. Nathan is a wonderful man, and I'm so grateful you found each other. Everyone raised their glasses. I raised mine too. Then Diane stood up. She was crying happy tears. I want to thank everyone for being here, she said. Especially my family. Especially my sister Claire. She looked right at me. I know this situation hasn't been easy. I know there's history. But Claire has been so supportive and I'm grateful. She raised her glass toward me. To sisters. Everyone looked at me. I smiled. To sisters, I repeated. The room erupted in applause. Aunt Helen was crying. My mother looked relieved. And I felt nothing. Just cold, clear focus. After the shower, I helped clean up. Diane pulled me aside in the kitchen. Thank you, she said. For what? For being here. For not making this harder than it had to be. I looked at my sister. We have the same dark hair, same brown eyes, same smile. People always said we could be twins, even though she's 2 years older. You're welcome, I told her. The rehearsal dinner was the night before the wedding. Lakeside Manor, same place where my reception was supposed to be. The room was decorated with white roses and candles. 75 guests, mostly family and close friends. I wore a navy blue dress and sat at a table with Austin and cousin Marissa. Nathan's father gave a speech about young love. My mother gave a speech about Diane's resilience. Nathan gave a speech thanking everyone and talking about how Diane had changed his life. He didn't look at me once. Then Diane stood up. She wasn't supposed to give a speech, but she insisted. I want to say something, she announced. The room went quiet. 3 years ago, my life fell apart. My marriage ended. I moved home feeling like a failure. But my family supported me, especially my sister Claire. She paused. I know people might judge how Nathan and I got together. I know it wasn't conventional. But sometimes love happens when you least expect it. More applause. Diane was crying again. Claire, will you stand up? My heart stopped. Everyone turned to look at me. I stood slowly. I want to thank you, Diane said, for being gracious, for being mature, for showing me what it means to put family first. She raised her glass. To my sister. The room erupted. People were crying. My mother was beaming. Austin grabbed my hand under the table and squeezed it. I smiled and nodded and sat back down. That's when I knew. Tomorrow. I'd do it tomorrow. After the ceremony, during the reception, when everyone was celebrating and the photographer was taking pictures, that's when I'd show them who Nathan really was. Not to get revenge. Not to hurt Diane. But because she deserved to know the truth before she legally tied herself to a man who would never be faithful. The wedding ceremony was beautiful. Diane walked down the aisle on my father's arm. The music was perfect. The flowers were stunning. Nathan cried when he saw her. The priest talked about love and commitment and sacred vows. They exchanged rings. They said I do. Everyone clapped and cheered. I clapped too. Then they walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, and everyone threw rose petals. The reception started an hour later. Cocktails on the terrace overlooking the lake. Dinner in the grand ballroom. The first dance. The cake cutting. Speeches from the best man and maid of honor. Everything was perfect. Diane was glowing. Nathan looked happy. My mother couldn't stop smiling. I waited until after dinner, after the first dances, after the cake. I waited until that moment when everyone was relaxed and happy and the photographer was setting up for family portraits. Then I approached the DJ booth. I'd spoken to him earlier, slipped him $200, and given him a USB drive. He nodded when he saw me. Ready? I asked. He looked nervous but nodded. I walked to the center of the dance floor. The music was still playing. People were mingling, laughing. I picked up the microphone the DJ handed me. Can I have everyone's attention, please? The room gradually quieted. People turned to look at me. My mother's face showed confusion. Diane looked surprised but pleased, probably thinking I was about to give a toast. I want to say something about my sister and her new husband, I started. My voice was steady. Diane, you said yesterday that I showed you what it means to put family first. That I was gracious and mature. I paused. But there's something you need to know. Something everyone needs to know. The room was completely silent now. Nathan's face had gone pale. He knew. Nathan has been cheating on you, I said clearly. For the past 4 months with a woman named Victoria Lang. She works at his firm. Someone gasped. Diane's face went white. Claire, what are you doing? My mother said, standing up. I'm telling the truth. You're lying, Nathan said, stepping forward. You're bitter and jealous, and you're trying to ruin this. I looked at the DJ. He pressed a button. The screen behind me, the one they'd been using for the slideshow of photos, lit up. The first image appeared. Nathan and Victoria at a restaurant, holding hands across the table. Timestamp, 2 months ago. That's not, Nathan started. The next photo. Nathan and Victoria kissing in a parking lot. Timestamp, 6 weeks ago. The photos kept coming. Different locations, different dates, all recent. The room erupted. People were shouting. Diane was staring at the screen, her face frozen in shock. My mother was yelling at me to stop this right now. Nathan was trying to get to the DJ booth to shut it off, but Austin blocked him. The final image appeared. A written statement from Oliver Hayes, Nathan's best friend, describing what he'd witnessed and when. Confirming that he'd confronted Nathan. Confirming that Nathan had begged him to stay quiet. The screen went dark. The room was chaotic. Diane was crying, really crying, not happy tears but broken, gasping sobs. Nathan was shouting that this was all fabricated, that I'd manipulated everything. My mother was trying to reach me, but people were in the way. I set down the microphone and walked toward the exit. Austin caught up with me in the hallway. That was insane, he said. But he was almost smiling. Had to be done. Dad's going to want to talk to you. Tell him I'll call him tomorrow. I left through a side door. I could hear the chaos continuing inside. Shouting, crying, the sound of something breaking. I got in my car and drove home. The next morning, my phone had 63 missed calls. Texts from everyone. My mother called me cruel and vindictive. Aunt Helen saying I destroyed a sacred day. But also texts from people I didn't expect. Cousin Marissa said she was proud of me. Friends of Diane's saying they'd suspected something was wrong. And one text from Diane herself, sent at 3 a.m. I need to talk to you. We met at a coffee shop near my apartment 2 days later. Diane looked exhausted. The wedding had been annulled. Nathan had finally admitted everything. He'd been cheating on me too, she said quietly, before we got together. While you were still engaged. I know. You knew. Oliver told me. That's why I started investigating. Diane started crying. I destroyed your life. Yes. And I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. I looked at my sister. I don't forgive you yet. Maybe I never will. But you deserve to know the truth before you made the biggest mistake of your life. 6 months later, things are different. Diane moved to another city for a fresh start. We text occasionally, carefully. My mother and I are speaking again, but it's strained. She apologized, eventually, but it took her 3 months. My father calls me every Sunday. He says he's proud of me for standing up for the truth, even when it was hard. Austin and I are closer than ever. My business is thriving. I landed 2 more major contracts. I'm dating someone new, a photographer I met at a gallery opening. His name is Cameron, and he doesn't know my family yet. I'm taking it slow. The wedding dress, the one Diane wore, my mother tried to give it back to me. I donated it to a charity shop. I don't need it anymore. I don't need anything from that old life. I built something better. Something true. And if you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and telling the truth, drop a comment below. Sometimes the truth destroys everything. But sometimes that's exactly what needs to happen.